If the war starts, do you have an idea? All this is in the film, by the way. Do you have an idea of where we should go, or give us some pointers on what to do in this situation? And are you deploying people, or is somebody coming to get us? I mean, we're paying you a lot of money for situations exactly like this.
So what'd you do? Yeah. How long were you there?
It's a good story.
We got time.
We were there for 9 days. What happened is that there was a sort of the escalation of a possible war coming, because the West African countries surrounding Niger had said that if they didn't put the president back in power, that they would attack, they would invade Niger to make sure that the president was back. And the Wagner Group in Russia and its allies were saying that if they did that, they would then invade. They would send Wagner Group in, and it would start a war, essentially. And again, we were with no protection, no way out. And so it got, every day you'd see it was getting worse, and the situation was getting worse and worse. And it was particularly bad on day 3, when you'd see the French, the British, the Portuguese, where I'm from, the Spanish, all getting evacuated. There were journalists, American journalists, who were in Niamey at the time. A couple of American journalists that I knew of, because I was in touch with people that worked with them, who were there doing the same story, but not in a place as remote as us. And they were being evacuated, but we had no way out. We weren't. And it was an interesting reason why. Essentially, the United States refused to call it a military coup, because the moment they did, they would have to remove all their military personnel and their all the American personnel from the country, and which would mean the loss of millions of dollars in investment in the country, right?
Yeah.
And so they were trying to negotiate to figure out a way how to get President Bazoum back in power and just take care of it themselves. And they just weren't able to. So it wasn't after, I think it was like a month later, that they declared it a military coup and eventually had to do away with their bases and lose all the investment. But because we were Americans, and we were very close, we were like 2 miles from this big military base. We actually went to the base and tried to contact them and talk to them, but they said, I'm sorry, unless there's a war that breaks out, or you're actually in active danger, or you're kidnapped by ISIS, we aren't able to bring you into the base right now. And we kept explaining, like, you do understand that might be too late, right? If we're 7 Americans here. We need shelter, and they refused to. And then we had, with all the work that I do, we always obviously have insurance and have an evacuation company that works with us, part of the insurance package.
An evacuation company?
Yeah. If shit hits the fan, there's always a number you call.
Is that like Mr.
And a company
Wolf?
that helps you out of there. But not in our case. We call the evacuation company. And we were recording all of this. And they basically didn't have a plan in place and weren't psyched on getting us out. I mean, no matter how many times we asked, okay, if the war starts, do you have an idea? All this is in the film, by the way. Do you have an idea of where we should go, or give us some pointers on what to do in this situation? And are you deploying people, or is somebody coming to get us? I mean, we're paying you a lot of money for situations exactly like this. And they just didn't have an answer. We realized that they were completely useless.
I hope you got that money back.
We did not get that money back.
That's
and we ended up
insane.
actually insurance helped pay for what it was eventually our evacuation. We found another evacuation company. So my husband, who's also a journalist and co-owns Muck Media with me and a few other partners. Muck Media is a production company that makes Trafficked. Mm-hmm. He and my team in LA were 24 hours trying to figure out a way to get us out, and eventually found another evacuation company with 2 pilots who were crazy enough to agree to get on a plane.
Hell yeah.
And fly to Niger, to Agadez, and come in the middle of the night to rescue us. And I know this is getting long, but this is the best part of the story.
You got me on the edge of my seat.
So they told us, we get the call, and it's this evacuation company, and they told us, okay, we've got 2 pilots, we've got a plane, which happened to be a G5, which is the most expensive private small plane out there, which is a little bit of a sort of a whiplash, right, after 10 days stuck in this. But we have a J5, these 2 pilots, they are coming. At 4 a.m., middle of the night, they're going to land for 20 minutes, and they only have 20 minutes on the ground. So if you're not there and if you're not in the plane within those 20 minutes, they're going to leave without you, right? And the whole team in LA is tracking the flight map. You know, the whole thing is set up. We don't sleep. I remember receiving this news and sort of starting to tear up, but not yet because so much could go wrong that we weren't sure if this was going to work or not. And eventually, meanwhile, couldn't forget this detail. While we were stuck and trying to figure out a way out, I'd also gone to the airport. I think it was like day 2 or 3. I'd gone to the airport, to the local airport, very small little place. And I'd met the manager of the airport, a guy called Kader. And I started talking to him and I asked Kader, do you have children? And he said yes and showed me the photos. And I showed him a photo of my son. And I said, look, it's his birthday next Friday. And he's at camp. And usually my husband and I have this tradition where we pick him up from camp. It's his performance camp and he does his performance. It also happens to be his birthday. And it's very important for me to be there. As you can imagine, traveling mother, I need to be there this day. So if you hear of any planes taking off or coming in, please let us know. And he started texting me every day and says, still nothing, I'm sorry. And then he found out that there was this plane coming. And he texted me and he said, I've got here some notice of a plane coming. Is this for you? And I said, yes, but I wasn't sure. I was afraid maybe he was working with the military. And I said, yes, but, yes, but let's not share it yet. And anyway, get to the airport the next morning, having not slept at all. We were all so nervous. We had a plan in place. We had our flak jackets with us in case there was shootings on our way to the airport, which is about 20 minutes away. We had a whole plan if we were shot at, what to do. And we get to the airport. The airplane is delayed at this point, so it's already, the sun is rising. It's like 5:30 a.m. And we get there, and there's like a ton of military at the airport, which was not supposed to be the case. It was supposed to be empty. And the manager, Kader, said he would be there to ensure that we'd get out safely. But there was not supposed to be any military. But it was kind of like that Argo movie, right?
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, where we get there, and there it is.
I was thinking
yeah. And the military is there, and they have a huge problem with us. They don't want us to leave, and they start creating problems. And they say we don't have the correct paperwork because the plane was going to Dubai after. We're showing them the visas. They're just creating problems. They just don't want us to leave. And eventually they said, okay, you guys can leave, but the Malian guy can't. The guy from the other
your
country,
fixer.
my fixer. And this is the moment I'm on the phone with my husband, and I tell him, look, and we can start seeing the plane coming in. And I said, look, this guy, I'm the co-owner of the company. I'm the executive producer of the show. I'm going to let everybody else leave, but I'm not leaving without Baba. So I'm staying behind. It was really hard for me. This was really, really hard. My husband had the most amazing reaction, which was, I would do the exact same thing if I was in your shoes. And as much as this hurts me, I know that's the right decision to make. And as we're having this really difficult conversation, my husband says, wait, I can see the names of the pilots are Portuguese. I think there's a chance that they are Portuguese. Plane lands, the pilots start coming out. I run to the pilot, the first one that comes out, and I ask him, are you Portuguese? And he says, yes. So then in Portuguese, the military arrives, they're around us. And in Portuguese, I tell him, look, we explain the situation. We're a team of journalists. There's one guy who doesn't have the right paperwork, the visa, because he has an African passport, to go to Dubai. But my team in LA is taking care of it. And when we're on the flight, it's going to come through. And this is like him saying yes to this. I knew he could risk his flight license,
Right.
And he says, and he thinks about it for a minute, and the military guy starts yelling at him and saying, you can't take him. And the pilot, turns to the guy and says, no, I take full responsibility. He's on my flight and he's coming in. So we are all allowed in the plane. I'm the last one. I'm coming, my whole team is inside. I'm the last one, just making sure everything's okay. I'm going in, and suddenly I hear my name being called, Mariana, and I look back, and it's Kader, the airport manager, who'd been trying very hard and yelling. He'd actually been yelling at the military too and telling them that they couldn't do this to us. And he says, Mariana, and I look back, and he says, say happy birthday to your son.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that was a moment where I couldn't keep it together anymore. And we all went into the plane, and I still get very emotional talking about it, but we all lost it. And I think it was obviously relief. It was a really tense situation, but also a lot of guilt, thinking that for us it was really difficult 9 days. But for people like Kader, the miners, the amazing people that I met there, it was a very uncertain and shitty future without democracy and, with terrorist organizations that are growing and committing horrific attacks. It was tough. It was really hard.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.